Hello again. We're going through the different SEs in U.S. history. This one is 6A. This one says analyze cause and effects of events in social issues such as immigration, social Darwinism, the Scopes trial, eugenics, race relations, nativism, the Red Scare, Prohibition, and the changing role of women. Now, that's pretty lengthy. This is actually a review, so this is stuff we should have covered already, but I'm going to try to go through it very quickly and kind of at a high level so we can kind of keep these videos short. This is really kind of narrowing in on post-World War I and into the 1920s for these subjects, but some of them, the topics continued throughout our history. So, but we're going to try to keep this narrow and fast. So, immigration. So after World War I, we have, immigration is always something that's going on in this country, and we have it going on after World War I. We have a lot of Eastern and Southern European immigrants coming in. This is going to kind of feed, as it usually does, immigration feeds the job scarcity, or they're taking jobs. There's times in our history we need the immigrants for jobs, but it does kind of feed that anxiety for those that are here. And the fact that they're not coming from Western and Northern Europe kind of feeds it as well. So anytime people are immigrating in and they're not the same skin tone or doesn't have the same language or the same religion or culture, that creates issues as well and divides and feeds into racism and other issues as well. So immigration's going on at that time. We get the Immigration Act of 1924 to try to limit some of that. But let's move on. Social Darwinism. So social Darwinism, especially in the Gilded Age before this, but it's occurring again now at this time as well. The discussion of, the example I usually give in class is the cheetah chasing down the herd of antelope. Which one are they going to get? They're going to get the weakest, the youngest, that can't move as fast, or the sickly, and it's survival of the fittest. So social Darwinism is trying to apply those Darwin views onto humans in society. And those who will survive are the fittest. Those who can't make it or do it or work through it die. And it's a very cold approach to justify somebody's success or lack of effort to help those in need. So that's kind of what social Darwinism is. And it's an ongoing topic in the Gilded Age. And again, anytime you see growth and wealth and accumulation while others suffer, you're going to possibly see some discussions like that. Scopes trial, also known as Scopes monkey trial. We get this in 1925. Clarence Darrow is defending Scopes, and William Jennings Bryant is the prosecution for this case. Now, the case revolves around a Tennessee teacher who was teaching evolution, speaking of Darwinism, teaching evolution, and it is against the law to teach evolution in Tennessee. So there is this trial about it, and it's pitting basically the cultural differences or religion being challenged by science, and can they coexist or not. But in this case, we're talking 1925, and this is a very threatening thing. To be teaching something like this, and he ends up losing the case. He will win it on a technicality and appeal, I believe, but in this case, the teacher is fined for teaching evolution and found guilty of it. Eugenics. So eugenics is using social efforts to influence what should be naturally done. So. Examples: when Hitler was wanting to breed for the perfect race, blonde hair, blue-eyed, and selectively, having people, if you're a blonde hair, blue-eyed guy, you're a blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, you guys should have kids. And if you're not, you shouldn't have kids. That's eugenics. That is using social influence on what should be occurring naturally. Other examples today would be debates on somebody with, say, Down syndrome, a couple with Down syndrome, and the debate whether they should have children. And that debate is eugenics, having that kind of debate, trying to decide something like that. DNA, splicing to try to breed out a disease, so children won't have a disease if we alter their DNA before they're born. That's eugenics. So eugenics is influencing something that should be occurring naturally, and we're trying to alter that. And that is something that's kind of dealt with during the 20s. Now, obviously, they're not the DNA gene splicing or anything like that, but the Hitler, that's going to come later. Those who should live, the social Darwinism, those who shouldn't live. Maybe we should only have smart people, something like that. That's all talking about eugenics. Race relations. So during this time, we have after World War I, we have a migration north of African Americans, getting job opportunities, getting more exposed, and because of the war, we need more people out in the battlefield. We need more people in the factories, and you're going to see migration north, and you're going to see the Harlem Renaissance appear, and you're going to see a great growth in the African American world of music, jazz, arts, paintings. All these kind of things are going to grow. But there's still going to exist the divides that we haven't overcome from the Civil War. Jim Crow laws will still be in existence in the South, specifically dividing the races as far as where they can eat or go to the bathroom or drink from a water fountain. So still a lot of tensions. There's still opportunities in growing and moving the right direction, but there's still a lot of holdout on us not getting to where we need to be. Nativism, okay, this kind of ties back in with the immigration. Nativism is the belief of that if you're not from this country, you shouldn't be here. Those who should get the jobs are ones who are from here. And nativist type of thought is being very pro hiring here and not allowing immigrants in. It ties in with the immigration. It also ties into race issues and religion issues and all that. It's very much a discriminatory path. Let's see, and it can also lead to things like KKK. It can lead into discrimination. That pretty well, I think, covers that one. Let's talk about the Red Scare. So the Red Scare, we have the Soviet Union, well, not Soviet Union yet, but Russia. Russia goes through revolution, overthrowing the Tsar Nicholas and killing off the whole family, and they become communists. So communism and the spread of communism becomes kind of a fear during this time. We have an attorney general who will conduct some Palmer raids where they're looking for people who are, deplorable or communist or, thinking bad things and wanting to do bad things. Because communism and the whole thought of the government being in control and taking all the resources and redividing them and revolutionize, the workers rise up against the industry is scary to this, society that believes that industry is where the opportunity is, and this is how we grow and innovate. So that is the Red Scare. When you hear red, they're usually talking communists. When they say Red Scare, it's about the fear and what we're going to do to try to stop things like communism from spreading. Prohibition. So Prohibition is the banning of the sale of alcohol, and that was a long movement, largely a female-pushed movement led by women, also called temperance movement. But Prohibition is when we will ban alcohol for a period after World War I. After World War I. Part of the concern is that you go to work, you're drunk, you lose your job, you can't do your job safely, you get hurt, you come home. You're drunk, you're mad, you beat your kids, you beat your wife. There's just nothing good about alcohol. So the belief of getting rid of alcohol would alleviate a lot of society's ills, is what the thought was. Changing role of women, and this specifically hits in the 20s, but after World War I, again, just with the African Americans, there is a need for bodies to work, and a lot of men are going overseas to fight, and this gives opportunities for women to get out and work even more. And that's going to evolve into a changing role of women and the expectations of women for different things. So suffrage will allow for the women's right to vote in 1919 with the 19th Amendment. But we will also see with, if you look at a picture, say a suffrage march from the late 1800s, versus what a woman in the 1920s looks like. In the late 1800s, a woman would be covered with long sleeves, a scarf, a hat, long dress. The only skin you would see would be her face, even wearing gloves. But by the 1920s, you will see what is the flapper, women who are, challenging those roles. They're wearing shorter dresses, they're wearing sleeveless tops, they're cutting their hair real short, they're going out and dancing, drinking in public, smoking in public, all these things that were traditionally not expected or approved for women to do. And those roles are being challenged at this time in the 20s by women, and they're getting greater opportunities. Let's see, I think that pretty well covers it. So that is a quick run over stuff that we will spend quite a bit of time in class covering, but hopefully this review helps you.